Pam, will you please call us the order, please? Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I'm sorry. Now we have to wait for Pam to finish.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Everybody's gonna look as you're spitting crumbs out.
Only towards that direction. The time is 4:12 p.m. Board of Trustees, Facilities and Finance Committee is now in session. Trustees Robles, Graham, Huxer, and Chair Fierro are present.
Thank you, Pam. Yeah.
All right. Thank you for having us here to present to you the last report or briefing of the year. You have a sort of a damaged goods here with me. Paulo is in Europe, where he's from. He's from Portugal originally, so he's visiting family for the holidays and so on. I'm taking over the presentation. So to start with, we'll just go through project status, and please stop me when you may have a question or comment on our projects. Some of this is quite visual. On Mission Del Paso, we finally got going and are doing a lot of work on the airport. The rough site grading is about 75% complete. We're doing the excavation for the ponds, for the stormwater. No recordable safety incidents. The budget is there. This project is scheduled to have a move-in in July of 2020. Might be able to get it early, but that's sort of a conservative estimate.
Pam, please note that this lease.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
So we show substantial completion for mission in November, but not a move-in date until July. Can you help me with that?
Yes, there's a little bit of gap here.
No, it's not a little bit, it's a big gap.
Well, we
And you thought I was going to give you a tough question.
yeah, I appreciate it. When is your movie in for the spring of 2020? Is it
Start date would be January 17th.
And that's why. That's why we have pushed it out, because from substantial completion per contract, there's at least 30 days
Right.
for final completion.
Punch those.
And so then that would give us right on to the end of November, and then you still have your moving efforts. And so that moving would coincide right with your break. When we get closer to it and we get a better understanding of how actually the contractor is moving at that end, we might be able to push forward and accelerate it so that you can move in. But the more conservative estimate is that, there will be a 30-day from substantial, so that puts us in the middle of December, and then you still have to move in all your personnel and get acquainted with the facility, and we might be too close. I'm not sure this, yes, sir?
I don't think it's part of the project, but it's located, we have that gully or the wash that's there. That's a separate project from this, correct? I mean, that's not part of this total project cost, is it, to? No.
To mitigate the risk?
Yeah, okay, but that said, as long as we're talking about mission, where are we on that? Are we on track to get the gully? What I'm afraid of is that I don't want the gully to, make sure that it doesn't eat away at our parking lot.
The gully, the gully has been safe on eating away our parking lot for about a year and a half. So it's pushing towards the east, not towards the east. It's pushing toward the property.
So we're not doing anything to mitigate it coming toward the gully?
Any more than we already have, which we're just dumping clean rubble in there to keep it from washing out. And I want to say it was 2010 or 2012 when we were having that problem. We started dumping the rubble in there, we pushed it away from us, we no longer have a problem with it.
So we don't have a specific program to mitigate it?
No, sir.
Okay.
Any more questions? Okay, so but to confirm, as we get a little closer, we'll have a better indication, and we'll make everything possible to try to get it a couple months before, so that we could move in for the spring. spring, but right now
Yeah,
this
but
is
you're gonna
conservative.
deliver ahead of schedule, right?
Yes, but there have been some challenges on these projects. If you remember, this mission of Paso had issues with utilities and the county permitting, so on and so forth. Archaeological Society asked us to get in there and investigate some things. So that's why we're right on the cusp of it.
Is there anything on that calendar that concerns you that's not highlighted at the moment?
Well, I mean, nothing can go wrong to push us 3 more months out. So then we would definitely hit, I mean, we would hit the July opening for sure. That's a conservative estimate. If we get a couple of, constructions are always messy and problematic, and we're gonna push everything, but if we find another unforeseen or a major challenge with design or a change of scope from any sitting at the table or outside the table, then that certainly would push us out of the January opening, and that's why we have it estimated for July. We're trying to be conservative, but no, we definitely keep July. That was the question, definitely keep July. Northwest Campus, this is another one that is challenging, and we will speak about a change order on this one later on. But basically, we finally got the electric utility company out of the way. We finally got all the permitting with the city worked out. And if you remember, everybody knows about the parking situation with Canopillo and all these things. So they're out of the way, and now we're working significantly on earthwork and the rock wall associated with it. So we got the building pad at 100%. We're doing the almost complete with the lower rock wall. And then we have these relocations that already took place in November for the gas line and AT&T. And we're now beginning to build, put the layout for the footings on excavation. So it's about to get started. Yes, sir.
Do you have a later point? Just out of curiosity, this one we had a problem with the retaining, big expense of the retaining wall, right?
It is because of the change of grade. I
Yeah,
think
just show, okay, where is the retaining wall?
it's right here.
Okay, that's.
Just the northwest, we're not doing it for the Misión del Paso, which is barely starting, but this one has gone underway. The contractor has so far underperformed the bid, and again, we know because of the delays, and that reflects here on the expenditure. We put amounts here. I think that was sort of our request last time, so you can better see the amounts on your brochures, handouts. Again, really underperformed. At this point, the project should be taking off, but because of all the delays with the utilities, the contractor is still getting under. We're hoping that this month or the next year, we're really gonna start, the slope is gonna start changing on a positive way. Okay, now we're getting into a little bit more fun. Rio Grande is really going forward. I mean, we have completed almost all the piers, and you can see by the description here. We have an approval to proceed on the restoration of electrical service for the Little Temple. We've had delays of about 40 days because of another electrical utility company line that was relocated. But we're still working with the contractor to try to completely refine what that stoppage meant. Working on foundation gradings, about 50% complete now, and we're beginning to complete the foundation for the stairs. Some of the walls are beginning to get up and be visible from the outside. It's certainly a very constrained side area. You know, it's an urban location. You can see the crane from downtown now. It's a large crane.
Even with the Hunt
Yeah.
Plaza.
Yeah, we're big stuff, we got 2 cranes in town.
But moving along, contractor is working well, and it's just moving forward. Here we're again a little bit of the mechanical. We got all the grade beams and the slab on grade, and you can see the actual footprint of the building, how large it is now. On the structural side, we got a lot of the steel being delivered, and we've about 30% of some of the steel top panels being built, and no reportable safety accidents. We're getting close here, and again, we're about 2 points below the performance, so only catching up. I mean, this is one that I think we're going to finish ahead of schedule because the contract is quite motivated. Valle Verde TPC, again, this is the second most advanced, if you will. This one is going to be turned over in April, and again, you have those couple months buffer for the moving and the substantial completion, and we're hoping to start to have it available for your July semester. Storm drain, 10% complete, which is one of the last things on the side work.
I just want to wait till it gets through.
Okay. 100% on the metal studs, so the structural work is almost there. Mechanical work is about 55% complete. Electrical work upward to the 90. Kind of getting to see the progress, and then the finishes are in progress, right? So you're gonna soon, in a month or so, begin to see the character of the building, which is kind of one of the fun parts of it.
Yeah, at that point.
Yes, sir.
I noticed that you have, go back one. I said plumbing rough in the diesel building, 100% complete. My question is, are there plans, or is there a program to have liquid fuel storage on site, or will you have tanks with diesel, tanks with gasoline, or will all of that be purchased off-site?
Purchased outside.
In other words, are you going to have fuel tanks on site?
Underground? No.
No, I don't
Underground?
think so.
It doesn't make any difference. I mean, you have it, even if they're above ground, you got a leakage problem. Make sure you mitigate leakage. In other words, are we going to store in diesel or gasoline to any
The plan is
extent?
to have
Yes.
some diesel and gasoline tanks. They are above ground, double contained.
Yeah.
So you have a
With-
reservoir at the bottom.
With concrete, 3/4 concrete reservoir, clay?
I'm not sure what type, I think it's a
Okay, good
plastic,
enough, yeah,
but
good.
it's got
You have
a
that secondary.
But we are
containment.
gonna have that, so that's a.
secondary containment, yes.
Secondary containment per code. I mean, those are.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if we're gonna have it, because if you do that, then you got all sorts of extra. That's expensive.
Yeah. The alternative would have been.
Go on to the local gas station and buy it.
Didn't we find the tank there?
Pardon?
Didn't we find the tank?
That was Rio Grande.
Oh, there you go. You just use that one.
We found two. And we found two.
There was one at my business.
Okay.
We just saved money.
The one
But
that
you-
Rio Grande belonged to the city.
Oh, did they pick it up?
No, they made us take it.
He was in their right of way, but he was right at Jason, and they say because we found it.
But I'm sure that because it's in the design specs, you have all the appropriate EPA certifications.
Okay, so again, a little bit behind schedule on this one. I think that this 50% is a little bit underreported. Take into consideration that this is the money spent. So I think there's more installed already, but they just haven't charged for it. And then there's some elements that will take some time, like the finishes that take a good time. And that's why
You don't need to apologize for the orange line below the blue line. What you need to do is start apologizing when the orange line is above the blue line, okay?
It better not be.
well, but that's really, if the orange line is above the blue, that doesn't mean that we're going to be more expensive. It just means that we've spent quicker than anticipated.
Right.
It's just, the bottom line is the end. The 100% is the same amount of money.
Good.
Unless we have change orders. Okay, Trans Mountain and the MPA project, again, this is the more advanced, substantial completion by the end of March. Moving in July, and this is very timely for the judge, who just came in.
Meeting's over, we already talked about doing it.
Fire protection. Fire protection at 40%, structural steel and the CMU walls complete. Again, a lot of 95% is there. The duct is a 50. There's a canopy structure that is still kind of in the works. From the buildings, and this is about, I'm going to say about a month delay from the original. But notice that you have a flat line at the end of almost 2 months, so that's the time to catch up. If the contractor's team is going strong, they'll be able to catch up there. This is a sort of a snapshot of the planner, if you will, of when you could occupy the different campuses. At least that's projected. Keep in mind that we're being conservative on this projection. There might be some good surprises as opposed to bad surprises
But how
on this.
often do good surprises occur in construction?
Well, they have happened in the past. They have happened, but they're often associated with throwing more money at the projects, and we're not going to be in that position. But anyways, okay, so here we go. Valle Verde, the Valle Verde instructional space, spring of 2020. Visión del Paso, the summer of 2020. The Rio Grande in the fall of 2020. Rio Grande is obviously the most challenging. Northwest, also in the spring. And then Trans Mountain and Valle Verde, maybe a little for spring, but right now, for summer of 2019. So at some point you're going to have to start planning on how to occupy and what to do with vacant spaces and how to close them out. So,
Structure has a question.
I'm sorry, I forgot, current SC, what is SC?
Substantial.
Substantial completion.
so and you understand the difference between substantial completion and final completion? You can start kind of getting in there, but not fully operational for final completion. And there's typically a 30-month, I think that's what we have in our contracts. 30 day. 30-day period between one and the other to complete the punch list.
But pretty much, is that normal when you have your open floor column and it says final completion November, like Valle Verde November 2019, but not open until the following spring? Is that normal?
Well, again,
He's saying for classes.
All right, that's what I know, and that's what I'm asking. Is that normal for just because you have to put in the furniture, or is that? Is that still, Dr. Grant, considered on schedule?
Ahead of schedule.
Ahead of schedule.
Got a target.
Ahead of schedule.
Spring schedule's what, second week of January?
Correct.
So in other words, you have
We offer
November,
classes
December.
to move in. To move in, you get equipment set, etc.
I mean, it can be done, and if the board pushes for it, I mean, we might be able to coordinate, but it might take some scheduled vacation not occurring from some of your staff and things of that nature, because it is in that 2-week period that happens in the college. Again, when we get a little closer to it, we'll be able to better inform you of any lingering issues and how important they may be. If the punch list is just cosmetic things and things of that nature, everything is working and tested and everything, that might be a good possibility to move in. Anything else? Questions? No?
Ms. Nahara, would you like him to start again?
Yes, actually, I would.
That's it now?
Oh, no, I don't have one, but I kind of, I think I've killed this.
Oh.
Okay, so now we get into the budget. And this is really small, and I don't intend to scavenge all of this. Just to give you a little bit of an understanding on the process. So we meet regularly with staff, with Ms. Rosette and her staff, and Ruben and Rick, and we reconcile this. Expenses versus budget, and we allocate with allocations or transfer allocations. I want to point you to a couple of things worth noting, and it is the sort of contingency money left on the project. So The Valle, the larger Valle project still has a $1.2 million that we're out of the ground, so unforeseens of the ground type are out of the way at this point. There might be some other unforeseens like changes of scope that would be originated by staff or the board. And then there's the other type that is errors and omissions or mistakes by the architect that cost money. Claims by the contractors that are not able to, or that the board decides not to allocate on the architects. And so those are the two things, but we have 1.2, and when I say changes of scope, at some point, there could be an idea of, okay, I don't want this type of carpet, but I want an upgrade kind of thing. Like you would do at your own home situation. And so we could spend the money for sure, but we're trying not to spend. And so the direction of the board that we understand is to hold the line unless it's strictly necessary. And obviously you would make a decision like that. So right now we have $1.2 million. Misión del Paso has 1.4 million, and we are out of the ground, but we're still in that aspect of the earthwork. Now Trans Mountain only has $114,000. That one has very little money left, and that one is very advanced, of course. I'm going to present you with a change order for that project at the end.
And that change order is gonna, would it come from that contingency?
I'm sorry, ma'am?
The change order is gonna come out of the contingency?
Yes.
Or is that already, so it'll go down even more?
Yes. Yes, this has not accounted for that approval yet. Yes, it will cut it down to $70,000 almost. Then we get to the Rio Grande, and we still have 1.5 million, but this one is the most complex project that has the most equipment, has more challenges on the site, and so I wouldn't touch that money yet at all. Northwest, we got about 350, if I can read well.
Yeah, 360,000.
Yeah, and again, this is a smaller project. And then the TPC, we have about 62, and we're getting close on that project, although there's some equipment being discussed at this point, right? So that's the kind of thing. One of the things that I like to say is that Josette has made it clear to us that she doesn't want us to spend all the money because there was some money that came from the college to correct the program, right? And so if we can give that money back, that would be great. That's our intent.
To correct the program?
Well, to the budgets.
Oh, okay.
When the program and the budgets were trying to be aligned, there was an overrun. Let me be correct, there was not an overrun, but in order to shore up the contingency, that money was made available. Yeah, let me correct that. Yeah. It was not that we overspent it, but we just didn't want to be bare bottom, because that's not the best practice when you approach construction. All right, any questions on this? So let me just point out, because we'll talk a little bit about it too. There's an IT funding line here. And if you do the math, we all come out to $2.some million. And that is a line that was allocated early on in the project that has to do with all the IT functions of all the buildings. And we'll talk a little bit about it, because now that we've got two projects that are getting close to actually being furnished and equipped, the time has come for the IT department to purchase the equipment for those buildings. And so we'll talk a little bit more, but that money was allocated early on.
No, I have a
It's
question
right
for
here.
Dr. Hidon. Dr. Hidon, when this budget, the 2 million that Mel's referring to, was set, technology changing so rapidly, is that still a doable budget?
Yeah, and Marco's been working closely with the project, so yes, it is. At this point it is. We were a little concerned, and I'm gonna, regarding the China tariff issue, because technology was increasing up to 25%, and there was that potential, but they got into a truce or something, so for a while, yeah.
You're not watching
Until
CNN.
Saturday.
Are you using hallway chips
Seeing that as a speaking Chinese.
As a matter of fact, we'll take a little more. The actual numbers that Marco has procured are a bit less than the bottom line here. And then there's, I think, $40,000 left. So it's not a huge amount. You can buy a couple of computers. But also we have a 10% contingency, like in all of our contracts. So there's also a potential there for that contingency to be used to amend any issue. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Marco, once you start installing, there might be some other things that come up, right?
That's
Connectivity
correct, and a
issues.
lot of it also has to do with any change orders that are done on the projects, right? So if they start, if they change, say, a classroom to a computer lab, obviously that
Right.
adds
Okay.
things, right? So that, those are changes that, that's why we have the contingency. But also just wanted to point out that when the project was first, or the funds were first allocated, we were given $3.5 million, and then we started doing some budgetary estimates, so that's why it was brought down to close to 2.6.
So it's been a collaborative effort, right? So the money was a little higher, and then we kind of asked Marco to get a little closer now that he had definition of the buildings, and he did, and then we amended the budget.
As long as we're talking about that, it's 2.524 million. Is that it? Okay. But what concerns me, or I guess it doesn't concern me, but I don't like, well, I can't say don't like, I just am concerned when I see this includes over 200, over 300, over 210 telephone. What? I don't like the word over, because over,
Well,
you know,
the-
10,000 is over 200.
That is correct, but again, the reason why we use the word over is to accommodate for those changes. So we know that at a minimum it's gonna be 200, but it's not gonna be anywhere to 1,000 or anything like that. But it's that 10% that will be over.
Give you an example, I think, and so connectivity issues. You might have connectivity issues in your houses, right? There's a second floor that doesn't get the right signal. Some of these things will not happen until you actually start testing them. And that way, I mean, if you have a little bit of that contingency money, then you can always add another transmitter, if you will. I don't know the terminology, says pusher.
Access point.
Pusher. Something, pusher.
Marco, how many pushers do you have?
Let me write that one.
And does Josette approve them?
Shark, are we still doing the technology fee? So is this all gonna be budgeted into, are we keeping up with our technology fee that we charge every semester?
Yeah, I believe so.
I mean, when we bring all this stuff on board, do you increase it? Do you-
Well, those are discussions we're going to have at a later date, and how are we going to sustain all of this technology?
Yeah, Judge, it's a great question. And Ms. Shanti and Dr. Sharon, aren't we scheduled to review our fees soon? I know we talked about last
We
year.
did discuss them at the last budget workshop, you know, when we adopted this year's budget, and we talked about fees. And just as a clarification, we're not charging a technology fee, a straight technology fee to our students. It is embedded in their tuition. Now, if we want, and if you recall, we basically merged in light of some of the lawsuits that Dallas and company had experienced, we merged our tuition and fee, all the kinds of fees we had, we merged it into one single rate. The only fee that we have that is charged to all students is general use fee, and that's earmarked for the debt retirement of our bonds. So if we want to reestablish a technology fee, we certainly could do that. Currently, we are allocating, there is a budget that is allocated to the technology fund that Dr. Riron is in charge of, and then the Integrated Technology Committee looks at technology for the classroom, and then the remaining funding that is also allocated by Dr. Riron, based on the different needs we have, then goes towards the overall technology for the college. But do we have enough? Absolutely not. I mean, we need to definitely review that. So if we do want to consider charging a separate technology fee, because now those kind of issues have kind of been somewhat solved, of course, until you get challenged by a student.
They got sued, right?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Somebody filed.
They
a
got
lawsuit.
sued, but that got
Dallas got
overturned. That got overturned. You know, they actually, when it went through the court, it got overturned. So, but I think to just take the prudent route, all community colleges try as much as possible to just merge all the tuition and the fees together. Now, some colleges are charging a separate technology fee or a separate course fee, but we had decided that charging another fee would be really taxing for our students. So maybe what is more appropriate is to look at our budget, current budget, and see if we can allocate more to the technology.
And Dr. Santa, aren't we one of the, when it comes to fees, aren't we one of the lowest colleges?
In terms of fees, we're
In terms of
yeah.
fees, that's correct.
But
In
not in
terms
terms of
of
tuition.
the total tuition and fees,
We know.
we are, the TAC is doing a survey now and hasn't gotten all the results, but when I looked at them, I think we were fourth
Fourth.
highest. Fourth.
Bless you, but that has to do with our tax base
I'm
also.
allergic to this.
When we did away with the $50, do we have it on record that we could done away with it? Because we put it on record that we were gonna charge it, but did we go back and say, okay, we're not gonna charge it anymore, there's a conversion? I mean, only because that $50 fee was board approved, shouldn't it be board sunset or decline or changed or whatever?
God bless you. We did talk to grab one,
Me.
and those, and I
Sorry.
wasn't here yet, but we all did, all of us took it to our boards. Cause I remember we used to say we were $59 a credit hour, that was tuition. But when we rolled in all of the fees, and there was 3 specific fees, it was the student services fee, an IT fee, and a building use fee. Those were the 3 that all community colleges had. They were all rolled into tuition because Dallas got sued. So all of us did that, and then over time, after the suit was dismissed, slowly but surely, many institutions, including the one I came from, started to add those fees back on top of the tuition and fees that were already there. Mishana, so you can't get sick, you have a flight tomorrow.
Sorry.
A long
I am
flight.
allergic to the discussion of fees.
Touche. But
Oh, thank you.
I would caution, but again, we are by far the best value in higher education in this community. But we also have to be careful that we don't price students out. I will share with the board that Creed is actively looking at a much like a promise program, much like Dallas has looked at, where they cover tuition, last dollar of tuition and fees for students. It resulted in a 10,000 student increase in Dallas this fall.
What does that mean?
What it means, Dr. Graham, is, so think about Mr. Extra's discussion. So we actually operate a $222 million budget, but it's restricted and non-restricted. There's a significant portion of our budget that's restricted, which is Pell Grants, about $55 million, which we can't use. It has to go to tuition and fees, and then the students receive the balance. Students, 15% of our entering students are not on Pell. So those students, between wealthy and middle and those that qualify for Pell, some of them can't afford. So what these folks are saying is that they would pay for the students to go to college. They would cover the last dollar of tuition and fees. Whatever they cannot afford, they would cover to get more students to go to
This
college.
is bad.
And Dr. Santa, it's not free college, is it
No,
earned?
nothing's free. It's earned. That's a
Right.
really good
Somebody's
point.
gonna pay for it.
Right, and the
Yeah.
whole point is that they would maintain a certain GPA. We can set, what Creed is looking at, the chair and I and Manny Soto from Creed went to see the Dallas convening on the Dallas Promise program. They are even talking about they have to have earned so many hours in dual credit because that would lower what they have to put in.
And many agree to that?
Well, they're making the recommendation. It's approximately, I think, about $11 million commitment is what they would look at.
I thought he was anti-dual credits, right?
No, he's very much dual credit.
All of a sudden?
Yes. Yeah, he has seen the light on dual credit.
But he may not remember it, but he saw the light.
I'm sorry, Mr.
No, very, very interesting.
My concern is, like we're talking about, why we need all these new buildings and stuff, are we keeping up with technology? So when we get these kids in here, because that's all they do is technology.
Well,
Are we
I think
keeping
the
up with
buildings are very well equipped, but
The only part that I know for a fact we're still not keeping up with the Jones is the transfer of transcripts. I can't believe that as many millions as we're spending, we can't get that to happen.
But, and I agree with you, Dr. Tran, but Dr. Santa, isn't that an issue? And it's not an excuse, so I agree we need to do
It is an
something.
excuse.
EDI,
But-
Dr. Graham, with which institution?
Well, I can only speak for the one, from NMSU over here. I don't know if that has been fixed, but it should be from any institution.
Yeah.
UT Austin, the student that had the same problem, that they couldn't transfer their credits over here or their,
Do-
I don't know.
I'm sorry, I know that EDI is functional with some of, or most institutions. I know there's still some that aren't. I don't know which ones are. My understanding is we're functional with UTEP on EDI. By law, it's funny you say that, by law, we're supposed to be functional with everyone. And the school districts are supposed to be using Speedy, which is one of the servers for EDI. Many of the school districts aren't doing their transcripts electronically either. It's something that we all have to catch up on, Dr. Graham, I agree.
And it's only because it affects the kids that are from this community and
They're
go,
taking courses somewhere
and then
else.
they come back in the summer to take classes with us, and then they have a fit because they can't, have that access.
And isn't that a big percentage? I mean,
No.
The
I
young
don't
people,
think
the
so.
young people that
They go away?
and then they in the summers. they
12%.
do-
Yeah, it's. not
Right, but out of that
12%.
12%. the
Oh, they
percentage
come back to
that
us?
come back-
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a very large percent. That's right, Chair.
And Dr. Graham, we are working with Dr. La Chica Chavez, the registrar, to explore that and hopefully, the reason EDI maybe might not work with another school is because they don't have it. So many times we have to have partner institutions to work with, but she is working with us on that.
So that's really not in your hands, it's in her hands.
It's, they come through her office, but for instance, as I said, let me find the right one. Fort Hancock. If Fort Hancock ISD is not utilizing EDI, then we're not able to use it. We have the ability to receive them and to send them, but if that other partner is not, then we can't.
Moving forward.
Yes.
Okay, so this is sort of the overall sheet on the budgets. Again, it's sort of just updates that we've done. This is a breakdown of, on the lower half here of the table, if you will. There's a breakdown of sources for the funds.
Did we get a lot of money for the standing room?
Yes, it's right. No, it's right here. I don't know if you received it, but it's accounted for.
Yeah, Josette said
Yeah, we
yes.
did.
Okay. And this 3.4 million, I think, is what I have spoken about in the past of when Rio Grande came so high, we had added again those two instructional floors on the top. When that project escalated, put this money into the program so that we had some appropriate contingencies, but we don't intend to use it, or not all.
Ms. Chauncey, 3.4 and 1.2, so it's almost $5 million.
Mhm.
Where did that really come from?
That came from the Project Reserve Fund.
On the land acquisition at the mission, we didn't go after the other piece.
We are. We're still trying to acquire that, and that is also part of what I think that we should look at going forward. Part of the bond timeline, the draft bond timeline that I created as well includes the additional 8 acres at Mission, as well as other property acquisitions. Dr. Graham?
And you're gonna go through that with us during your evaluation, correct?
That's correct, Chair.
Okay. Local participation, this was a question that was asked last bullet, so Paulo responded. We're in no better position than we were when the projects, the construction contracts were allocated. And we'll continue to update the project when we get to the end of the program. So right now, as of July 12 of 2018, this is sort of the allocations. And they go one by one. Valle Verde is 70-30, Roco, most of them are in the 90s. Mission del Paso 91 to 9%. Likewise with Trans Mountain, Valle Verde is even better, 99% Roco, and 1% out of town. Northwest is 100% local, El Paso is, in Valle Verde, CTC is 99. So really for all projects, again, some estimation has taken place at this point, but we're talking about 89% local and only about 11% out of town.
Is that the average for a project this big?
Well, no, I mean, I think we're a little higher than average.
Oh, good.
Yeah, significantly higher than average. I mean, most of the highway contractors, for instance, are out of town.
Part of the seven sisters.
You know, a lot of the improvements to downtown, the downtown Renaissance, or how it's called, a lot of those contractors are from out of town. And some of them, the challenge, I'll leave it there. Possibility summary on, okay, this is just basically on the construction contracts, 88 to 12, because this is overall projects, 89, 11, because of the architects, right? Some architects have some out-of-town components as well. So if there are no questions, let me kind of go a little deeper into the action items. We have two. One of them is a request to approve a contract time extension and associated costs for the Trans Mountain campus. As I mentioned, we had challenges with El Paso Electric Company. The contractor had a claim about a delay, which was discussed and evaluated by our staff and EPCC staff. We came back with a sort of a counter offer to the contractor, reducing some of those dates. They also had we requested a breakdown of how they were estimating the cost or damage, if you will, for the delay. And it was all extended overhead. Basically, when a contractor moves in, they're paying for the trailers that they're occupying, they're paying for the fencing, they're paying for the toilets, and then for some salaries of people that they cannot reallocate when the project is in the books but not really producing much. And so we went out and discussed things with them, and we reduced it down to $68,000 in 80 days.
Why the 80 days? That seems very low.
Because you see, we contacted El Paso Electric in August, I believe, early August, and they didn't move. They didn't move quickly enough, and then we had to come into the easement issues and get the attorneys from both entities to iron them out and whatnot. So that's what happened.
And they don't have any liability because they drag their feet?
You have to sue.
Yeah, you would have to. To give you an example, and it's not El Paso Electric, but AT&T is the most notorious culprit statewide, and TxDOT has sued them for millions of dollars statewide, and that thing is going through the courts, I think, right now as we speak. But it is, you know, they move at their own pace, unfortunately. So I don't know if you have any additional questions about that. And all of these has been discussed at length with Rick Lobato, Ruben, and I think that we are making the recommendation to approve it at this point, after some negotiations.
But you're not gonna come back later for, instead of 80 days, you want 100 days, or you're not gonna add more days?
Not because of these, not because of this.
Weather,
Again,
not because of this weather
Right.
in the future.
I mean, we have an unusual wet summer, and we have an awful, that prevents construction, the contractor has the right to ask, and then we can negotiate.
So the 68,000 comes out of the 114,
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's 147.
they'll come back for the rest of it. trust me.
Yeah. So I make a motion that we approve a proposed change order in the amount not to exceed 68,000 for the Trans Mountain Campus construction project, including an 80-day contract time extension.
Second.
Judge, you would call for a vote.
Second it before she even finished reading.
I know.
Can you call for a vote,
Can you
Judge?
call for a vote? Can you call for a vote, BP?
Huh?
Can you call for the
Call
vote,
for the
Vice
vote. He's
Chair?
gone. The chair stands.
Yeah, let's vote, let's vote.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed?
Motion passes.
Now, let me just, it's a moot point because you approved it, but just to give you a little bit more, hopefully, comfort. These feet went around the campus and fed the whole campus. So it couldn't be, it was a challenge to relocate, to say the least.
Yeah, we're making that.
And then also, we went out for the contract when they made the claim, we asked for certified payrolls. We made sure that he was not making any profits. So this is more of just paying for cost.
Is this gonna be able to accommodate us if we decide to add more? Because there's still about 88 acres out there. Is it gonna cause a problem in the future for any expansion?
I think the contractor, the architect would have to design for what we have now. If we build out all those acreage, we will need additional power.
We need
Well, I think
additional
it'll be additional, but it's not gonna cost us to move another, but I just can't move a whole transformer.
If we were to decide to build out again, we would have to add an additional transformer. So it would be a brand new feed from El Paso Electric. Possibly have the same delay. I mean, we can't control the schedule.
Unless the build out was relatively small.
They would have to be really small.
Yeah, you run into the problems with El Paso Electric when you ask for a whole lot more Jews that you can prove that you're going to use. I mean, they'll have all developers have these discussions with El Paso Electric because everybody wants more, but then El Paso Electric say, no, I cannot give you more install capacity if you don't show me how you're going to use it.
I don't necessarily want more, I just wanna make sure I don't have to move it again.
Right. Well, again, we haven't designed for that yet, but if we are, depending on how you build out, you might be able to have another feed and then you would potentially have 2 accounts or there's multiple ways of skinning that cat.
I just wanna know if we took that into consideration.
Oh, I'm sorry.
El Paso Electric
Cooking that turkey.
I'm sure they built some extra capacity in there, but they won't build a whole lot because it's gonna cost them more unless we can prove we're gonna use it.
Okay, so we got a second action item, and again, I semi-explained this already, but it refers to, it's not a change order, it's just the allocation of a purchase of equipment for IT purposes. This has been budgeted for, and this is under budget from the twice, because it was a higher budget, and then once we had a design, that budget was revised, and now the actual purchase that is being done through a cooperative, is that the right word?
Yes.
Cooperative.
Cooperative.
Of the state of Texas, which also gives a discount for educational purposes, was used. So instead of putting on the contractor and they making a profit and perhaps charging more, a good decision was made to put it on the cooperative. So it's for $2.5 million.
One of the previous, in the previous deal, there was a slide that showed IT estimate of $2,545,000. Now we're seeing now that number now is $2,500,000, is 25.5 less. Is that, are we talking about the same number? There was
Yeah, the
an
previous number was allocated
Yeah.
as funds for
It was
IT.
2,545, and now we're gonna say, now we really only need 2,524.5.
For equipment, yes,
That includes the contingency.
and that includes a 10% contingency.
So we're talking like a 250,000 contingency? Am I assuming that's right?
250.
For scope change, scope creep.
And then the cost, because the other thing to point out too is that we're not purchasing all the equipment right now. We're asking for approval so that we can order the equipment as the completion date of each one of the projects gets closer. That's when the equipment will be ordered per project.
But all of this equipment will be used under the current building program.
Correct.
And the price won't go up.
And that's what the contingency is there for as well, so to allocate for those.
10%.
In other words, you haven't signed a contract, so that's,
I wanna buy it now, John, before the church.
what's that?
I wanna buy it now before the church.
I move to approve.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
Well, open up for any additional questions.
happened to the other guy?
He's in Portugal.
You're on his head, making money.
I was wondering why French was spelled with an S.
Yeah, but he just started and he gets a vacation like that already? There's
Poor
some
Mel.
good ownership over there.
One of the best companies to work in.
Record that.
Second.
Is that his Christmas bonus?
Well, thank you much again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for all of you.
His Christmas bonus.
We have half an hour before the next meeting?
28 minutes.
Well, 27 minutes, shall we start in executive?
Sure.
Is everybody okay with that?
Yes.
We have property to talk about?
Property and
So are we adjourning this meeting?
Yes, we're adjourning this meeting.
Okay, all in
No.
favor of adjourning?
No, we're going to executive, we're going to executive. Thank you, Mrs. Hagan.
Okay, at 5:03 p.m. all of the SAP. Leaving this meeting.
I want to make sure we keep it.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were. I'm not really asking. When we get to our agenda next door, and we get to this Lisa's report, that's an evaluation session, correct?
We'll start looking.
Hi, Dr. Noel.
My wife was so into her, and I get stuck in the middle of the course.
Does Ruben stay for this week? Okay.
He's been in the loop on the other
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much. I know where your son is. Well, good for you. That's great.
Those are good problems to have.
I know. I was wondering what you were doing down there.
Don't worry, we're gonna keep it busy, so those tuition fees, I'm sure was charging.
Which college did you go to?
I don't know yet, he's accepting a couple of them, MIT.
You know, I saw something the other day.
For physics.
The young lady says, "Oh, he's
His
going
check.
to MIT." I can
We gotta have
spell
one,
it. Mint.
we gotta have one.
Congratulations. Thank you. Merry Christmas.
Jason, wanna get tired of one?
It is.
She's gonna read the form.
Where's no take from
Take a 10-minute break.
She went to.
You have 5 minutes.
She gave the time.
I thought we were having a 10, you said we're gonna have 10 minutes.
Brazil.
We're doing refinery?
Yeah, super
It's
important.
actually working for the Department of Defense.
All right, you're recording, you see?
Check it out.
It's co-op. Come on.
The new, I don't think so.
I did, you're shooting there, find out, see Thomas?
So my brother is too, he has a place to stay there. So he makes a little family.
Oh, and I read the whole thing now.
Yeah, my brother there.
Well, let's do coffee.
Okay, well, if, so the time is 5.
That's all right.
Time is 5:03 p.m.
So that's,
And, the Board of Trustees is now going into closed or executive session pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code for one or more of the following reasons. 1, consultation with its attorney to seek or receive legal advice or consultation regarding pending or contemplated litigation or for any purpose authorized by law. 2, discussion about the value or transfer of real property. 3, discussion about a prospective gift or donation. 4, consideration of specific personnel matters. 5, discussion about security personnel and devices. Or 6, discussion of certain economic development matters. The board may also announce that we'll go into executive session on any item listed on this agenda if the subject matter is permitted for a closed session by provisions of Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Any vote regarding these items shall be taken in open session.
It is 5:30 on the dot. Calling the meeting, adjourning the meeting. Second? All in favor?
Aye.